Let me tell you about the patchwork girl. Like all little girls, she was born beautiful and perfect in every way. But she didn't know that. Her parents would tell her things like, don't do that. Make sure you tidy your room. Sit up straight. A good girl must do this and a good girl can't do that. And each of those ideas, words, expectations were sewn like pieces of patchwork over who she really was. The patchwork girl started school. Her teachers would tell her things, and they would sew more pieces of patchwork over who she really was. Things like, sit up straight, you can't talk in class, stop scratching, stand up straight. Also, her friends would tell her who to trust, what to wear, how to speak, who would be the best friends. And all of those expectations, ideas were sewn like pieces of patchwork over who she really was. As she grew to be a woman, the patchwork girl started looking for pieces of other people's needs and expectations to sew onto herself because she really thought, well, that's what must be like to be a woman. You have to think what other people say you should think, act the way other people say you should act, do all the things, think all the things that other people say you should do and say and think. And each of those needs, expectations, ideas were sewn like pieces of patchwork over who she really was. Until one day, when the weight of all of those ideas of other people, all those expectations, all those needs was just too much for her to carry any longer. Everything hurt. So she decided that she would start to unpick some of those patchwork pieces. Snip, snip, snip. Some pieces just fell away with a few snips of her scissors. But there were some pieces that were sewn with big, deep stitches that were right in deep, close to her heart. And they were the hardest to remove because they had been the pieces that had been sewn on the longest. And then the day came when there were no pieces of patchwork of other people's needs and expectations sewn over who she really was. And she was naked. And she saw that she was beautiful and that she was perfect in every way. And she is me. And she is us. Whether we're trans, cis, gay, straight, non-binary, disabled, older, younger, however we show up in the world, all women are like the patchwork girl because we've all had pieces of other people's needs and other people's expectations sewn over who we really are, often to the extent that we can no longer see who we really are. But more than this, women have been fed two lies. The first is that all we can be is princesses in a tower with no power, waiting to be awakened by a kiss or for the handsome prince to rescue us. And the second lie is that we cannot use our power because when we do, we turn into evil queens and wicked stepmothers, cruelly manipulating others to get our own way. However, there is a third way, my personal strategy, which I've codified for women who seek to rediscover and reconnect with their power as they unstitch the patchwork pieces of other people's expectations and other people's needs and discover the unique, beautiful, powerful person that they truly are. When women understand the powerful truth that there is truly more to them than meets the eye, then together we can create the worlds that we've been dreaming of. Worlds where equity and equilibrium are the norm in the workplace, where however people show up in the world, they are valued for what they bring to the table, rather than penalised, consciously or covertly, for perceived lack. Where diversity of understanding and outlook are celebrated because leaders recognise that diversity builds innovation, productivity, and cohesiveness. As women cherish their needs, they ensure that they have the reserves of power and that those reserves are replenished so that they bring their best self to the table. When women identify their values, they lay a strong foundation for authentic decision making that allows businesses and organisations to clearly pursue their goals. As women recognise the narratives that drive their lives, they're no longer blindsided by unconscious attitudes and outlooks that can hijack goals and shipwreck careers. By developing the subtle art of self-reflection, women tap into the depths of their characters, building understanding of how they operate and strengthening their compassion and the empathy that is essential for healthy workplace culture. And as women rewrite the stories of their lives, leaving behind the narratives that no longer serve them, they can shape new stories and bring a powerful authenticity to all that they do. And the men, the allies who support women as they tap into their power, well, they discover that this growth of power in women does not diminish their own. They discover that there is no zero-sum game where for women to succeed, others must fail. They understand that the slices of the pie are unlimited. In fact, the pie expands rather than diminishes. And men discover that the strategy that works for women also works for their men. That they too can cherish their needs without embarrassment. They can stand firm on the values they've identified. They can understand and work with their own unconscious drivers. They can take time to reflect on their lives and write new life stories if the old ones no longer serve them. And then, together, women and men can create the worlds they've been dreaming of.